right, New Orleans, welcome to the Jack Clegg Show. You're at WGSO 990 AM, WGSO.com, and if you're watching your telephone or watching your laptop, you might be watching the Jack Clegg Show on YouTube. Today, we are honored to have something that is going to make New Orleans a better city. You can't always say that, can you? Well, I can, because I've done some research. I've looked into it. This is going to help us a lot. It's going to help us with crime. We're going to talk about how it's going to free officers up to do what they're supposed to do. And my guest today is Ethan Cheremy. Now, you may know the Cheremy name if you have any feet in the water anywhere in Louisiana. But this Cheremy is more the four-wheel type. Is that accurate?
Right. Sure.
Ethan Cheremy. For the audience, and we're going to talk about, we have Ethan here because we're talking about a service that is in New Orleans, now Baltimore,
Correct.
Other cities as well.
Correct.
And that service is OSS. Now, that's not the OSS after World War II, is it?
No.
On-scene services. So, Ethan, explain to the audience, and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
What OSS does, and then we'll get into you, and we'll get into some of the details.
Well, thank you for having me this morning. OSS, On-Scene Services, real catchy name, right? We provide alternative police response to police departments around the country. And when we talk about alternative police response, it is exactly that. It's response to calls from the public that come into 911, but using resources other than a police officer. Okay. And specifically, the area that we've zeroed in on is one of the largest call volumes for any police department, also the largest time sucks, I guess you can say, that takes a lot of time. Right. And that's car accidents, right? So in a nutshell, we respond to car accidents on behalf of police departments.
Okay. As just to begin, just very fundamental. I'm driving my car. No, wait, I'm lying already. I don't have a car. But let's say I'm with someone else who's driving their car and she gets in an accident.
Right.
Okay. And there's another car involved. Or maybe a pedestrian.
Correct. Or a building.
Or a building or a tree.
Yes.
A beautiful oak tree. Or a bicycle. Okay. That driver, oh my gosh, take care of themselves for a minute. How am I doing? But they'll call 911.
Yes.
Okay. When they say they're in a car wreck, do they connect with the dispatcher from your company, or how does it work?
From the public's point of view, it's a totally seamless model. Everything remains the same. You still call 911. If you're involved in an accident, you're going to call 911.
Okay.
The 911 personnel then dispatch OSS agents, as we call them, or NOPD, whoever's available. If there's an OSS agent available, we're the primary response. They're going to dispatch an OSS guy. We don't have a person sitting in dispatch just yet. Okay. But that's another workflow that we're discussing right now. But we're utilized as a tool just like any NOPD officer would be, with that singular focus of that auto response.
Okay. Quick question. Are your agents commissioned police officers?
Former police officers. So we have a big requirement to be an agent, as we call them for OSS, is you must be former law enforcement.
All right.
You must also have former patrol experience, right? Preferably traffic. And we have not found that to be any significant issue to find those people. We have a lot of older, retired guys from the NOPD force, but we've also got younger agents from surrounding jurisdictions that retired early, left their department for other reasons.
Sure.
And are now employed with us.
Okay. So I'll just use a hypothetical. in a day, how many 911 calls come to NOPD that involve traffic accidents?
There's anywhere. So I'm a fan of data, right?
I can see that. We talked beforehand. We've got it all in your hand.
We've analyzed the number of calls that come into 911 on an annual basis, and all this is public information. You can find it at data.nola.gov.
Sure.
It's called Calls for Service, right? And we went back to 2015 or so, and those numbers have held fairly steady. They dropped a bit for COVID, but they're back up to what it was. There's anywhere between 20 to 25,000 calls per year that come into the 911 system, specifically dealing with car accidents, right? That breaks down to about 75 to 80 per day.
Okay. Of those 75, let's use that as a number.
Sure.
How many of those will involve a situation where your agents will go as opposed to New Orleans Police Department active guys?
Sure. Great question. When we began this program back in 2018, we limited our scope, right? Because there were 1,000 people giving 1,000 reasons why this would not work.
Okay.
We've since proven that it will work, right? So our scope has broadened from the main categories that the NOPD or the OPCD, the Communications District, 911 District, categorizes calls. Non-injury accidents, injury accidents, and the big differentiator there is if EMS is called out, it's an injury accident. You can change them on spot and so on.
Do you do the injury and the non-injury, or do you do the non-injury?
We do non-injury. We do injury. We do hit and run.
Okay.
We do occasional other types of calls, stranded motorists, right? If we have an agent passing by and a car's broken down, we're going to stop and assist where we can.
Okay.
And we are available as NOPD needs us. So for Super Bowl, we had a few instances where there weren't any wrecks happening. So we assisted in blocking a street or...
I could imagine if there was a building or buildings on fire, you guys might come and help if you could.
Correct.
Evacuate people and do all the necessary things.
Totally there to help. The primary focus is auto accident calls.
Sure.
But if we have agents patrolling the city not responding to a call, or if we're directed by NOPD, one day there was a fatality on the high rise going to the east. We used 4 OSS units to block off the entrance ramps because they had to close the entire interstate there. So instead of using an NOPD officer for that, we used OSS.
Very good. I have a million questions. I hope I don't bore you with all my questions. But okay. Now the officers, the agents, the OSS agents are not officers. They do not arrest anyone, do they?
Correct. No.
Okay. When they come to your vehicle, let's say you call, say I got hit and the other driver's there and I'm in the blue Pontiac. Okay. They see the blue Pontiac and they come up. Do they have a video camera?
We do.
And does it record what I say?
It does. We recently deployed Axon body cams. Body-worn BWC, body-worn cameras to all of our agents. These are the same cameras that most police departments around the country are using. GPS, voice, video, data.
So when I make the call, as I'm waiting for you, I should fix my hair, get my tie straight, and look accurate because I'm going to be on video.
No responsibility to do that, but you can.
All right. Thanks. We're going to have to take a break now and have a commercial, and we'll be back in a few minutes with our interview with Ethan Cherami of OSS.
Hi, I'm Huck, an active Christian who loves Louisiana. One of my goals is to bring Louisiana's education from 50th to number 1.
And I'm Dave. I'm not afraid of government bureaucrats. I fear God. Our rights and freedoms come from Him.
This is Liberty or Lockdown. Please join us on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com.
Hi, I'm Pat Swilling. One of the things I love about Louisiana is its beautiful natural landscapes and its unique sceneries. Let's preserve it. Please don't trash Louisiana with propane cylinders that are no longer certified. Bring these cylinders to your propane dealer so that they may dispose of them safely. Be a saint, and let's keep Louisiana beautiful.
This safety message is brought to you by the Louisiana Liquefied Petroleum Gas Commission and the Louisiana Propane Industry.
Howdy, everybody. This is Jackie Gumbo inviting you to join me each and every Sunday from 5 to 6 p.m. for Uncle Jackie's Gumbo. A little bit of this and a whole lot of that. Each and every Sunday from 5 to 6 p.m. only on WGSO 990 AM New Orleans or WGSO.com. Bring your gumbo, baby. We're going to have us a blast.
Hello, this is Jack Clegg. I want to thank all my listeners and the support I get here at WGSO for making our program, The Jack Clegg Show, successful. Along with that success has come a change in time zones. No, we're not moving to the Pacific time zone, but we are changing the time of our show. Now, for the immediate future, we'll be 11 a.m. to noon on Tuesday and Thursday. Callers are welcome. That's a Jack Clegg Show at 11 a.m. to noon. Thanks for listening.
When the time came, I knew I had to find a place where Mom would be safe and active while still feeling independent. A place that was close to all of us and everything she needed. Locally owned and operated in the heart of Gonzales, I found Francois Ben's Senior Living. They specialize in independent and assisted living and memory care.
Call 225-647-BEND for more information on our special pre-leasing offers.
Francois Ben's Senior Living. Experience life as it should be.
If you're suffering with scalp irritation or inflammation of the scalp, maybe flaky scalp or loss of hair, there's a new treatment out there called Ceravive. Call Spot Isabel on Magazine Street, 504-595-5009. $3.99 per session. You'll need about 3 sessions. That's 504-595-5009. Spot Isabel.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back to the second segment of the Jack Clegg Show. And we're in the middle of our interview with Ethan Cheremy, who began OSS. What is OSS? On Scene Services. And what we're talking about is what they do, how they help New Orleans. And one of the things I'm going to get right back into it. One of the things that I see you all performing a function for citizens in New Orleans like me and everybody else is you free up police to do maybe some of the more dangerous and violent jobs that they have to do.
Correct. Yeah, plain and simple. When you look at a police officer, right, arrest powers, ability to carry a firearm, right, seen as a symbol of respect by everybody. I mean, for parades, one cop controls 1,000+ people.
Sure.
And everyone listens, right? They're a scarce resource, right? You heard about police shortages and so on and so forth.
Yes.
And even New Orleans is still having some issues with staffing, right? As a society, we need to decide how do we best want to deploy and utilize this scarce resource.
Sure.
Do we want them doing paperwork in the street for a car wreck or responding the day after even to like a burglary or so on, right? Those reports still need to be written. That's important work to document someone's loss, right?
Okay.
It's a civil matter though, right? Or do we want that man with arrest powers and a gun to respond to the strong-arm burglary that happened in the French Quarter or to a tourist or a local even walking out, right? So
or even a domestic violence thing, which can happen. Some of them may be exaggerated, but some of them may be life-threatening.
Right.
We just don't know.
Yes.
So that's one of the things that I like about OSS when I started to look into this is, it takes a long time to train a policeman. It takes a long time to get one who's savvy, who's got experience.
Right.
Taking those guys off their real jobs for a fender bender. And I don't mean to minimize fender benders,
right,
because people can get injuries and that can create a monumental change in their entire life.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a big deal. But I think your company doing that is good. We were talking before the break. Your officers do not arrest people. They're not commissioned They were at one time, but
Yes.
they're no longer, so they can't arrest people. Okay. So here are the typical questions that someone might ask.
Shoot.
Okay. You go up to a car, the blue Pontiac that
Mhm.
my girlfriend was driving, and you smell alcohol.
Right.
Uh-oh. Bells and whistles. What do you guys do? What can you do? What do you do?
Right. So, as I mentioned, last year alone, we did over 10,000 response calls for NOPD. We've been doing this service since 2018. So, we've got a couple of years under our belt here, and we've seen a lot of different things out there. Right. And they're not all just your standard run of the mill fender benders.
Right.
We conduct training twice a year with NOPD. State police has even recently offered training for our agents as well. So we want our guys to maintain that level of education and training and sophistication that they're beyond reproach.
Sure.
And they know what to look for, right? So when we say we're embedded with NOPD, we truly are. We have a CAD, a computer-aided dispatch is the term, the dispatch terminal that every New Orleans police officer has in their unit. OSS agents have one. We also have...
Let's stop for a second. Does that allow the OSS agent to see if Bonnie Jones, the driver of the blue Pontiac, has an arrest warrant out for her?
In limited circumstances, right? So there's the whole CGIS system nationwide.
Right.
Everyone has to be fingerprinted and validated and so on. We have most of those features turned off because we have that singular focus of helping motorists, really. It's not about writing tickets or any of this. It's about documenting the loss that happened in your life and helping you as efficiently and safely as possible, right?
Okay. So you have the potential, but that's not actually what you do.
Correct.
Okay.
We're not scanning license plates or worried about if you have arrest warrants or any of this stuff.
So next question is similar. Okay. You're not looking at arrest warrant. So, okay. What about the driver's license? What if it's expired?
Correct. There are 2 instances under state law where a citation is mandatory. That's one other thing. We don't write citations. If you run into the back of Patty or anyone, it's a civil matter, right? And this whole citation thing was basically created back in the day because, basically there was a reason to justify sending a cop out to these calls in the first place, right? So there are 2.
It might be more than just a missed deadline.
Right. There are 2 situations where citations are mandatory. No operator's license, no driver's license, or failure to produce compulsory motor vehicle liability insurance, right? Which is a big problem. People need to buy insurance.
Right.
Plain and simple.
So when that happens,
correct.
If one of your OSS agents goes and says registration, license, and insurance, those 3 things,
right?
And you don't have that, what do you do?
We have to call NOPD.
Okay.
As of now, we are calling for a backup NOPD unit to come.
Okay.
That officer can write the citation on the spot.
Okay.
And then he can leave. And
now, the citation won't have anything to do with the fault of the accident.
Right.
But it will that this person was operating a vehicle with an expired license or the other thing.
Right.
Okay.
So that officer can write that citation and then go on to his next call. We maintain that control of that item number, and we'll close it out and finish the crash report and so on. So we are in discussions with NOPD as well as state police about ways to make that more efficient, where we don't even have to call out an NOPD officer. Perhaps we have one commissioned agent that can write those citations around.
So it's your office, or
correct.
And if you're in Orleans Parish, maybe 10, 15 minutes, but they'll be there.
Correct. Different ways that we can do that. So we're always looking to make it a more efficient and better experience for the tax-paying motorist, right? Because this is what your tax dollars go towards, is services.
Okay, let's stay with Bonnie Jones.
Sure.
The blue Pontiac driver.
Yes.
Okay. So she's got a license, she's got insurance, she's got a registration. That's okay. And you do the same for the other driver.
Correct.
Okay, here's a question I had because a buddy of mine was just in an accident. OSS did not adjust it.
Right.
Well, not the word
Right.
adjust. You know
Respond.
what I'm talking about,
Right.
respond. But NOPD did. Okay. And he asked the other person for their name, license number, so forth, and the other person refused.
Right.
Okay. Now, when he told me that, I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe they didn't have a license, or maybe it was suspended, or maybe something, whatever it is. He asked the police officer for the information, and the police officer said, well, you'll get it when you get the report.
Mhm.
So he had to wait until he got the report, which in many times could be more than 14, 20 days later.
Correct. Well, counselor,
Go
as
ahead.
you know, right, both students of the law here, that's a violation of state law. The statute is Louisiana Revised Statute 32398.
Sure.
And in it, it requires parties, drivers specifically, to furnish information to the other party if it is requested by the other party. Right?
Supposed to.
So that driver was obviously in violation of that. I really don't have a comment on
Sure.
how NOPD handled that situation.
That's
but,
another thing. That's another subject.
Right.
Okay.
So that driver should exchange that information.
And
it is
your
what it is.
officers are aware.
Agents.
Your agents. I apologize. Your agents are aware of that as well. Okay. That was just this actually for a buddy of mine. I had heard that, and I was like,
So
how
we
does it work?
brought a little tech to that portion of it, right? Which is everybody has a cell phone now. So
Sure.
we are using cell phones to help facilitate that information, where we can text both parties that respective information and with QR codes.
And I'm going to talk to you about some of the other plans you have
Right.
to use our cell phones for
Sure.
communication. We're going to get to that. We have to take another break. We sell all kinds of products here.
Of course.
We'll be back in a moment, folks, with the third segment of the Jack Clegg Show. Just in a minute.
Hey folks, it's Jeff Cruere. I've been with WGSO for 17 years as host and now president and general manager. WGSO is a community-based radio station, a nonprofit, locally operated. We believe in cultivating local talent and emphasizing local programs. If you have an interest in hosting your own program, then we have some prime spots available for you. Take advantage of this great offer. Email me at jeff@wgso.com or call me at 504-669-6076. Come fulfill your radio dreams at WGSO.
FBI, open up! Just because you legally possess a gun in the sanctity of your locked home doesn't mean that we're not going to walk into that home and check to see if you're being responsible.
Tyranny in the USA.
We warned about this years ago.
I'm Tom Cohen.
I'm Michelle Godin.
We're
Baldy
Baldy
and the
and
Blonde. Wednesdays at 4 on WGSO. Follow us on X at Baldy Blonde.
That's not America!
Loath to cook or just love food? Then Chew On This is your new go-to. Join me and Don Clement for mouth-watering recipes, kitchen hacks, and tasty food talk. Tune in at our new time, Saturdays at 2 p.m. and satisfy your cravings. Don't miss a bite, only on WGSO or online at WGSO.com.
Hey, this is Christian Garrick. I'm excited about my new show on WGSO 990 AM, Monday through Friday, noon to 2 p.m. There are a lot of things going on in this country and in this city that are concerning. I'm your voice. You might be afraid to speak out for fear of cancel culture or losing your job. Christian Garrick Show on WGSO is your platform, noon to 2, weekdays, right here on 990 AM WGSO.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Andrew Greenstein. Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple says property insurance reforms in Louisiana are working. Temple says since the legislature passed its package of property insurance reform bills last year, Many property insurance premiums are no longer skyrocketing.
22 to 23 and 23 to 24, and even now into 25, the increases that insurance companies were taking over the last several years, those numbers are coming down.
Not only that, Temple says some insurers are starting to file rate decreases. He says since last year, his department has licensed 10 new insurers. The lease for the temporary housing facility in New Orleans' Gentilly neighborhood that housed homeless people during the Super Bowl and Mardi Gras will be extended on a week-to-week basis. Mike Steele with GOSEP says there are far fewer people in the transitional center today.
The peak population of the center was about 183 people a few weeks ago. That number has now dropped down to 78.
LRN.
When you're going through something, you want to be heard, respected, and helped. Louisiana 988 is here to provide that, offering 24/7 emergency emotional support. Specialists will genuinely listen, treat you with dignity, and help you find the resources you need. It's free, confidential, and most people who reach out report feeling better right in the moment. Call or text 988 anytime.
I'm Richard Fontenot, president of the Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation. While I'm a fourth-generation rice and soybean grower, you don't have to be a farmer to be a Louisiana Farm Bureau member. Membership has its benefits, from discounts on car seats, hotel rooms, and rental cars, to access to insurance you can count on to be there when you need, plus a whole lot more. We're 145,000 members strong, and we want you to join the Louisiana Farm Bureau family.
Visit lafarmbureau.org. The Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation, the voice of Louisiana agriculture.
Hi, this is Rusty, owner of the Olive Branch Cafe. Join me on Tuesdays at 4 for the Best Bank Hour on WGSO 990.
Hello, this is David Jeremiah. Join me each weekday morning at 4:30 or 5:30 a.m. for Turning Point on the community voice of the Crescent City WGSO.
Don't get stuck in boring talk radio. Give it a much-needed splash of laughs and a little Southern Louisiana flavor with Implicit Bias Radio. I'm Kevon Bordelon. Join the crew and I each Saturday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. as we give our thoughts on what's going down around the country. We'll crack open a fresh bottle of whiskey each week as we talk about what's swirling around in our heads and in the glasses. The Implicit Bias Radio Show, every Saturday morning, 7 to 9 a.m. on WGSO 990 AM.
This is Kate Delaney from America Tonight. The show kicks on at midnight, and I'm loving the overwhelming support in New Orleans. What a group of fantastic listeners here on WGSO 990 AM. Join me every morning to catch up on what I call the buzz in your backyard and mine. You'll hear some of the most interesting people on the planet from the world of business, politics, sports, and, well, just intriguing people with a story to tell. If you're around, give us a call. Don't worry, I'll spit out the number plenty of times on the air. Let's agree to meet at midnight right here on WGSO 990 AM in New Orleans.
Hi, this is Rusty from the Olive Branch Cafe. We use only the freshest ingredients, and we prepare everything from scratch 7 days a week. West Bank born, West Bank raised, West Bank proud. The Olive Branch Cafe, Marrero and Algiers.
Get up early on Saturdays and talk LSU athletics with us. Tiger Rag Radio every Saturday morning, 5 to 7 on WGSO, the community voice of the Crescent City.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back to the Jack Clegg Show. This is the Tuesday morning edition. This is Tuesday, isn't it? It feels like Thursday already. And you're listening to WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com for the audio podcast. And you might be watching us, hello, everybody, on WGSO's favorite YouTube station, the Jack Clegg Show. There it is.
Yeah.
There he is. That guy right there. That guy. Ethan Sheremy. Before I get to some more of my questions, we have a caller who's been online, waiting online for how many hours you've been on?
First-time listener, long-time caller.
He's a long-time caller, first-time listener. Matthew, are you there?
I am here.
Would you like to speak with Mr. Sheremy?
Yes, I'm liking what I'm hearing. So I do have to ask some questions. One, pursuant to Louisiana law, the OSS officers can carry a firearm if they wish to. So could they carry it on the job, or is that like somehow forbidden?
So we are totally unarmed. We don't carry tasers even or any non-lethal. My understanding of state law.
Not even a burner?
Correct. No burners.
Annoy them?
Nothing. We're there to help, right? We're not there to enforce
So
a
you're
big
wearing
law.
crack shoes.
We're there to
Okay.
help. And according to state law, to be a peace officer, right, that definition, you need to be post-certified, which is peace officer standards training, long certification process to be able to carry that firearm. But then you need a sponsoring agency to do that, right? We never really even contemplated that scenario. So we do not have post-certifications residing with any sponsoring agency.
But Louisiana is a constitutional carry state.
Correct.
But I guess we'll just go ahead and get past that for right now. And
Sure.
The other question is, what are the benefits for your personnel? Do they get a 401k plan?
We started early in 2018. We did basically a 5-year pilot with the city. So we're still fresh with this. We have a very competitive pay that we start our agents at, which is what has obviously drawn some of them from nearby jurisdictions who have basically almost doubled their salary with us. There's a significant portion of our agent roster that are collecting some form of retirement, either from NOPD or federal law enforcement or one of these things. So this is basically a supplement. We found a niche where there's a lot of guys out there and ladies who they don't want to they don't want to be a cop anymore, but they still have a lot to give back to their cities and communities. And this is a way that they can do that.
And I'll ask the question. Matthew, I'll ask the question in case you maybe don't want to ask it. When your guys are working, are they able to call in a radio talk show?
No. We're going to keep them busy.
Well,
got anything else, Matthew?
No, that was about it, Jack.
All right, my friend.
I really wasn't aware that you were that upset about my calling. Maybe I'll
stop it. Grow up. We're friends. Talk to you later, man. Thanks for calling. All right. All right. Yes. Getting back to OSS and what you do, and we're saying, okay. Are there stories already that the OSS agents talk about in terms of what they run into? Now, I read your website. You actually have them stationed at strategic areas,
correct,
which are more likely than not to involve accidents.
Correct.
Are there super strategic areas that involve accidents with crazy people?
So doing over 10,000 calls per year, you're going to see a lot of different things other than the run-of-the-mill accidents out there. We do have lots of stories. However, everyone presents themselves in a professional manner and abides by confidentiality on what's been seen and heard out on the streets out there.
Well, one other question, though. You all you can take photographs, right?
Yes.
When you come to a scene, if there's been an accident, you'll do an investigation of the area in the scene, right?
Correct. So if you think about a normal police officer's day, he may go to a domestic call and then respond to a traffic accident and then be called away to a dog barking, or it may be something violent like a strong arm robbery, like we said. And he may not finish that accident report until the end of his shift, 8 hours later. So by that time, it may be did that happen on the southwest corner or the northeast corner or these corners, right? By us being subject matter experts, we focus on one thing and we do it very, very well. And we ask our agents to complete that entire crash report at the scene before they take another call, right? Good. So we complete that crash report that you can buy from the NOPD. We'll do the whole thing. We draw that diagram. We write the whole narrative to say driver one was heading westbound on General de Gaulle and blah, blah, blah. NOPD has asked that we indicate fault. So on the last sentence, it says it is the opinion of the agent that driver 1 may be at fault for following too close, illegal left turn, reasonable vigilance, any one of these things, right?
So without specifically assigning fault in a mandate way,
correct,
where somebody just looks at that and I'm going to give a ticket because of that, the NOPD gets your report.
Yes.
And the NOPD may do their own or should do their own investigation. Is that correct?
Correct. So think about a red light camera in the city. There is an NOPD officer that sits there in a room all day long looking at these videos to see if a car, in fact, ran the red light. So he has that video proof to do that. Similar process here. There's an OSS agent. He writes that entire report. He asks for written statements from the parties. We do 360 photographs around each vehicle. We get every side of every vehicle.
Sense.
If the vehicles are still wrecked in an intersection, we're going to do a 360 rotation around that. We're experimenting with throwing a drone up and taking an aerial shot right now. Lots of new tech that we can bring. We have a LiDAR that can basically recreate the scene if needed as well. So there's a lot of new tech that we've brought into this. Aside from the statements and all this collateral information and the body cams, we put all of that in the cloud in a secure place. NOPD can log into that. They read that crash report. They look at the photos. They read the statements. They could even call the parties that were involved. We have the phone numbers to the drivers. And they can say, hey, did this happen exactly like this?
Sure.
And at that point, after that thorough review by an NOPD officer, they hit submit, and it goes to the state in compliance with all state laws. Or they can reject that report, which we do get rejections where they say, I don't agree with your findings. I think this needs to be written in.
Sure.
Or you have a misspelled word in the narrative, right?
Sure.
So these reports are checked twice, once by an OSS supervisor and then again by NOPD.
Good. Do you have bilingual officer agents on staff?
We do. However, there are strict protocols, laws, policies, and procedures of NOPD that we must follow. He is not a certified one under NOPD's guidelines. So,
are you working on someone becoming certified under their guidelines?
Correct.
Because a lot can be lost in translation.
Very
we know
much
that.
so.
We
Very
know
much
that.
so.
Yes.
Right. And then we're also looking at new tech to bring in as well that does the instant translation, but that as well needs to be approved and so on and so forth.
And then we have federal laws that are going to make English the common language, and that we may have confusion when that takes place.
Maybe so.
We never know. I wanted to ask you about the officer on scene. Sorry, the agent on scene. I'll have to get used to saying that. The agent on scene, what does he do if the other driver flees?
State law again, right? Let's go back to state law. If a party leaves the scene, it is considered a hit and run, right? You can be charged with a crime at that point.
Sure. Does the agent chase him?
No. So
okay.
We don't have any chase policies or any of that. We are back to the point where we said we're embedded. Not only do we have the computer dispatch, but we have a NOPD issued radio. We are listed as an active in the NOPD directory. We're called OSS 5 is on this call, OSS 9, 22, et cetera is on that call.
So you'll immediately report it.
At any given time, we can key up on those radios and have NOPD back up at a scene within a few minutes.
Perfect.
Or if it's a non-emergency type situation, we can put that call back. We can reclassify it as a hit and run and put in the information of that other driver. Lots of backstops and alternatives.
I have a million more questions. We only have another segment to go.
We'll do
Hold
rapid
on. This is a Jack Clegg show with our wonderful guest, Ethan Sheremy of OSS. We'll be back in a moment.
So you know what we can do? Right? No Norman rides not floating anymore.
Hi, I'm Huck, an active Christian who loves Louisiana. One of my goals is to bring Louisiana's education from 50th to number 1.
And I'm Dave. I'm not afraid of government bureaucrats. I fear God. Our rights and freedoms come from Him.
This is Liberty or Lockdown. Please join us on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com.
Negative news got you down? Tune in at 4 o'clock on Thursdays and turn your life around. Only good vibes on WGSO 990 AM.
Hey, Mimi, we love Wednesdays, but we're moving to a new time.
Listen to He Said, She Said, Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
As usual, we'll be discussing and debating the hot topics.
And taking your phone calls.
You can find out who's right. Of course, that's me.
No, wait, Jeff, I'm never wrong. Remember, happy wife, happy life.
So we'll have a lot to talk about on He Said, She Said.
Listen to the Crew of Crew Air, Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
Right here on WGSO.
Tired of placing multiple calls to multiple vendors and getting the runaround? Turn to one resource who can get it done. Sir Speedy. We provide a wide spectrum of print, signs, and marketing services, all backed by more than 5 decades of experience. So when you need that new brochure, direct marketing campaign, or signage to promote your brand, give us a call at 504-586-9812 or visit us online at sirspeedyneworleans.com. Everything you need, one resource, Sir Speedy.
Hi, this is Susan Berniker bringing you a new show, Health Connections, every Wednesday afternoon at 5 p.m. Doctors, researchers, authors, and more. Join me Wednesdays at 5 o'clock right here on WGSO 990 AM.
Hey guys, this is Lisa Leonardi, the host of the new show Live with Lisa Unscripted, every Monday at 4 p.m. drive time here on WGSO.
Hello, this is Jack Clegg. I want to thank all my listeners and the support I get here at WGSO for making our program, The Jack Clegg Show, successful. Along with that success has come a change in time zones. No, we're not moving to the Pacific time zone, but we are changing the time of our show. Now, for the immediate future, we'll be 11 a.m. to noon on Tuesday and Thursday. Callers are welcome. That's a Jack Clegg Show at 11 a.m. to noon. Thanks for listening.
Make a difference in the community. Join the JPSO family. The Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office is recruiting candidates for our July 2025 Police Academy. If you are a recent graduate, former military, or someone looking for a new career where you can make a difference, join the Academy and learn the academic and tactical skills to protect and serve. Application deadline for the July Academy is March 21st, so don't wait. Join the JPSO family. Visit jpsojobs.com today.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back to the fourth and final segment of the Jack Clegg Show, also known as the Jack Clegg, Ethan Cherami Show today, because we're talking about OSS and the wonderful work they're doing, and we're just really scratching the surface. We're going to have you back again.
Sure.
Excellent. All right. We were talking about when we broke, giving hypotheticals that happen all the time. Okay, one of your agents is called to a corner and they can see, well, there's a car right there with a big dent in it and there's a person sitting inside and they see another car flying away. Okay, you mentioned before that you're on the same radio band as the NOPD and you can report that. They
Yes.
do report that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Have the number of hit and runs increased in New Orleans over the last decade?
Yes. Just like you've read in the past year about the street takeovers, right?
Yes.
People realize when law enforcement isn't in their
Right.
community as much anymore. So the number of hit and runs it's going up. It's normally 20 to 25% of the calls in per year, around that
Wow.
number. I think
Wow.
it peaked in 23, about 31% or so. 24.
So
it
3
dropped
out
a
of
bit.
10 accidents, somebody takes off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. What advice do you give to a driver? Because it takes a time for you to get there.
Sure.
I get in an accident, somebody hits me, and that guy takes off.
Our average response time in 2024 was 14 and a half minutes. So call it 15 minutes, right? Anywhere in the city, we were there, and we processed the scene and have the parties freed up in under about a half an hour or so, right there. And then we complete the report and we take another call. Best advice: everyone has a cell phone, right? Immediately take a picture. You're supposed to clear the roadway, right? If you can, if your car is drivable,
right?
Move it off the road. You don't have to sit in the traffic, so that way either OSS or law enforcement sees it, right? We can tell if your car has a big dent on the back and they have one on the front. It's probably obvious they ran into you. There. But take a picture or two, right? And then move your car if it's drivable, and you can do it safely. If you can't do it safely, those motorist assistance patrol vehicles are also on the interstate and expressway system. They help out when possible. Take a couple of pictures immediately, license plate and of the damage, and then wait for us to get there.
Before the show, we were talking about some of the advances that you're planning to make at OSS.
Right.
One of them, when you get a call, you have the phone number of someone who called you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Do you reach out with them even before your agent arrives?
Right. So one thing, if you've ever been involved in an accident in New Orleans or any type of police call in any city, there's a bit of uncertainty on when parties will arrive, right? One thing we're discussing is bringing in Uber-like experience. So we can text the party that called into 911 and say, hey, this is OSS. The agent will be there in 12 minutes. Click this link and you can see the OSS vehicle and where he is in proximity to you.
Okay.
And that'll give parties a bit more definitiveness on when is help arriving. How long do I need to wait?
Sure.
For that.
Now, on the same topic, you're in an accident. You've already talked to the other driver, likely.
Sure.
So you say, well, can you get their phone number or have them call us so we're in contact with both of you as we're arriving? Does that happen?
Yes, and that's something we're working on as well because of all the technology we've embedded in an OSS agent and our entire back-end system, different from police, right? We still fill out that same crash report, but we're able to start working on that. We have people in the office that can start populating that information into the crash report before the agent even gets on the scene. So that way, when he's there, it makes the entire process go a little bit faster for everyone.
Okay. I'm an OSS agent, Agent Clegg.
There you go.
At the wheel. Okay. And I got a call that at the corner of Bienville and City Park Avenue, there was an accident. Okay. And I'm on my way there. Can I kick into the police cam at that intersection and see what happened before I even get there?
Yes and no. Right. There's
I like the yes part.
Right?
I don't like the no
that
part.
lawyer's coming out, I guess. But so one thing we do, there's a national certification called TIMS, Traffic Incident Management Systems.
Okay.
It tells you how many cones you're supposed to put out on the highway, how you're supposed to position your response vehicle, all these things for safety, right? So all of our agents are certified in TIMS there. When we get on a scene, we normally don't find out about the real-time crime center cameras until our agent is on scene, and that's part of his process is to determine if
there's one
nearby or a business may have cameras or these things.
Okay.
So a lot of times that video, once we find out about it, we can tap in and call the RTCC and say, please look at this intersection, Bienville and City Park. Did you capture this wreck that happened at approximately whatever? If so, they need to bookmark it. Otherwise, it would be erased in 90 days or as per the city's normal thing. So then it is preserved. And we probably preserve on any given day, if we're doing about 40 calls, I want to say maybe 5 to 10.
Really?
Don't hold me to that number.
Sure. But that's actually good. On the same question, something happens in the middle of a block or whatever, and all businesses, they've got outside video cameras.
Right.
Homes have Ring cameras.
Sure.
Do you guys go that far in your investigation? You contact the neighbors.
Yes. When possible, yes, our
Sure.
agents will go to the business, ask them about it, especially if you're getting two different stories
Sure.
from parties,
Right,
right?
right.
On that. So we will ask, or we'll document that, hey, the home at 32 whatever has a ring, but we didn't knock on the door. That will be in the report as well.
So the police can do that if they want to.
Right. Especially in the case of a hit and run, right? Which has
Sure.
become a criminal type act. You're
Sure.
going to want as much evidence as.
Do you all are your agents ever asked to follow up on the initial investigation by either talking to the people again or examining the car?
Right.
Do you follow up on it?
Yeah. So on an accident and injury accident where a party is transported to the hospital,
Sure.
we've had agents go to the hospital, sit in waiting until that party is hopefully released if it's not a bad injury, and get information and statements from that party there. It's a lot more time consuming, obviously, but for the most part, our agent does a thorough job on that initial. That there's very few instances when a follow up is really needed.
When there's a incident involving a truck or a bus or a car, do you have guys that are specially trained to deal with those accidents differently, or is everybody handled
Not
the same?
really. Everybody's cross-trained on just about every incident you'll see. It's just more occupants, and that's
Sure.
more occupants that need to be listed. Obviously, a 4-car pileup on the expressway will take a little bit longer than, a standard 2-car rear ender or so. But yeah.
I wish we had more time because we could go on for hours.
Sure.
This has been very interesting. I have other questions, and you will come back.
Call 911. Just follow the regular process. We're embedded, and it's a smooth transaction for everybody involved.
Well, I appreciate you and OSS taking the time. The whole idea is to free up officers to get to other men.
And to give motorists a great experience.
Hope so.
We're doing it.
All right. Thanks, folks. We'll see you Thursday when the Jack Clegg Show returns on WGSO.